Chapter 13, Part 4 of The Nightland by William Hope Hodgson. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. The Nightland. Chapter 13 Homeward by the Shore, Part 4. Now I went forward again, for I was not harmed by the stone, only that I did be shaked, as you shall think. And the maid to go offward from me, and to sing, and did oft dance naughtily as she went. But truly I did be silent with her, for I was but human, and did lack that she come to mine arms and love me, because that I had plucked her safe from that place. And indeed this to be but a natural desiring, and you to have understanding with me, and to know that you also to have this lack and need, if that you to have done aught for the love of your maid, and she to deny you a word of loving tenderness. Yet in verity I to be even then able to perceive with mine inward senses how that the maid did have a wondrous uppouring of love for me, but yet did be so perverse, and the more so mayhap because that her love did so urge her unto loving admittings that I did be her man. And she maybe to have meant that she be the more humble presently, but yet to go naughtily a while more, and not indeed to have had the power within her at that time to have come unto me and cast off her waywardness, and asked that she be in mine arms, as all my heart did desire. And so, as I have told, I went silently, and mayhap with a little dullness, that be part of anger, and part of hurt, and part of that same strange love-foolishness from which the maid did suffer. And truly this doth be very contrary seeming, only that you have seen my heart, and all indeed the more human that it doth be so contrariwise to the brain reason, and all to be desired, else did a man be no better than an ant or a weariful machine. And this to be truth and wholesomeness, as you shall perceive, if that you look deep enough, and do modify reason with heart understanding. For in verity how shall that which we call reason bring any to the full and the great knowledge? And this doth be a power of holy things, and doth be a child that is born of love and reason, and in the one to hold the two, and to know all things is the gift of this power, so that no man may walk truly that hath only the first, neither any man do otherwise that hath only the second. And surely I to cease from these thoughts, and to my tellings, and you to your harkings in dear sympathy. Now when the 6th hour did be come, we made a halt and eat and drank, and afterward went onward again, and so came presently clear of the two monstrous fire-hills, and their great noise to be presently to our rear, and likewise that quiet country that did be round their feet, and did seem to utter hushed and strange, and doubly so, because of the upward noise of the mountains, and because of the slow and subtle earth-shaking that did be so constant, and because of all those things that I have told. Now when we had made halt, the maid had done her hair very uncomely upon her head, and had looked slyly to see whether I did note. But truly I took no heed, so that in the end she had it again in a pretty fashion, and did sing naughtily and with an heart of mischief, as she did shape it loose and wondrous nice about her head. And I still to have no word for her, neither to show that I did watch her with love, and somewise a quaint pleasure of her perverseness, even whilst that I did strive by silence and an aloofness that I bring her to my side, as she did be in the first days. For truly I did ache that she be near unto me, and to cease from her waywardness that did put a distance of spirit between us, as you to perceive. And so we did go forward again, as I have told, and the maid did strive that she make me to give attention to her naughtiness, for she did walk alway offward from me, and did sing aloud, and truly they did be songs strange unto me, but yet to be of love, and much as the songs of this age. For truly there doth be but one song upon all the earth, and she but to sing it in diverse ways. And she did oft to make little glancing toward me, and did pout very pretty. And in a moment come something toward me, as that she did be humble, and would be forgiven. but all to be in a naughty mockery, so that in verity I looked not at her, save odd whiles, but did go forward alway, and made as that I had no heed of her doings. And surely this did presently to stir her to a new defying and to a pretty anger, for she did sing other songs of impudence, that she did fit very clever about me, and this way to have a constant impertinence. And so we did go, and I never to speak with the maid, but to wonder when that she cease, or how long it should be ere that I did run swift to her and have her into mine arms, that I shake her and kiss her, all as my heart did desire. And when that the 12th hour did become, we made halt again and eat and drank, and the maid to serve me very intent, and hand me the water, and the while that she went down upon her knee, as a slave. But when I would have laughed gently at her mockings, and taken her into mine arms, she went from me very sudden and cold, and was afterward silent, and did sit apart from me. Now I also did be silent, and in the first, because that I was a little pained, and also because that I did be new touched with the love foolishness that did trouble mine own. But afterward I ceased from these feelings, and did be intent to another matter, for it did seem to my spirit that there was some danger anigh to us, and I had a thought of the humped men, and looked well about, and did beckon the maid to come nigh, because that the trees did be plentiful thereabout to hide any creature. But mine own came not over to me, so that I loosed the discos from mine hip, and went that I be nigh to her, and she made that she saw me not, but did set the gear together, and had it presently a-ready for the journey, the while that I did look always among the trees, but indeed I saw naught. And when that I had the gear upon me, and the maid her bundle, we went forward again, and I to be very wary, and bid the maid keep close to my side. But indeed she would not obey, and went offward among the trees, so that I was all enhaunted with dread for her, and ran and caught her, and talked wisely with her, but indeed she did not hark to me, but did run off in the moment that I loosed her. And I caught her again, and took one of the straps from around the scrip and the pouch, and set it about her pretty waist, and the end I held in my hand, and so had her to obey me in this thing which did be needful to her safety. And the maid to go with me very hushed for 2 great hours, and I alway to look well about. And in the end of that time the maid did begin to sing impudently, and I did ask her that she be a quiet maid, lest that she bring danger upon us, but she to be the more impudent. And lo, as I did strive that I look always, lest any harm did come upon us, and in the same moment to reason mine own from her pretty folly, she did grow very hushed, so that I looked round upon her in an instant, and truly she had cut the strap with her belt-knife, and did run away very swift among the trees. And surely my heart did slow a little in my breast, because that there did seem something a move in the dark of the shadows where the trees did grow thick, and the maid did run that way in her foolishness and waywardness. And I ran hard after the maid, and did call her, not over loud, lest I bring somewhat upon her, but she to have no heed, and to run very light and swift, so that I caught her not for the half of a minute, as it might be, for she was gone ahead, and I did be a little cumbered with mine armour. And lo, when I caught her, I shook her, and pointed inward among the trees, for it did seem even then to me that something moved there, but she to struggle in my hand a moment, and afterward to be still, and to ask with an insolence and a defiance whether that I did mean to flog my chattel, the which she did call herself in her naughtiness. And in verity, ere I did know, she had twist from me, and did run with a true wickedness straight toward that place where somewhat I had seemed to be a move, and I ran then with all my strength, and with a fearful and an anxious heart, and because I put all my strength to the matter, I caught the maid in a moment, ere she did be gone any way, and she again to fight to be gone from me. But I took her into mine arms very strong, and I ran outward from that place where the trees made a darkness. And surely when I was come again to where the trees did be more spare, I saw that I was come nigh to that river which I crossed on the raft, as you shall mind, and truly I did be glad, and to feel safe in a moment. Yet I was firm now to my purpose, for I set the maid to the earth upon her feet, and I kept my hold very sure upon her, for I did mean that I whip her before that her love foolishness bring her needless unto death. And I took the belt from her pretty waist, for it did be but a light strap, and I whipped her very sharp over her shoulders with the belt, and truly she did make to nestle unto me in a moment, as that other time when that I whipped her. But I stayed her from this, and I set the belt thrice more across her shoulders very sharp, so that she to learn wisdom at once, and I to be free for ever of this need to pain her, which did hurt me very strange. And the maid to stand very quiet, now that I did keep her from coming unto me, and her head to be something bent, so that I knew not whether I did mayhap have flogged her over hard, for I did be something lacking in knowledge whether that a maid be very easy hurt. And I stooped and looked into her face, and lo, she did be smiling naughtily, and kissed me in a moment very saucy upon the mouth ere I did be aware, and afterward she laughed and tried to make a bitter mock upon me, and asked when that I should be pleased to cease from whipping my chattel, for that then she should run away immediately into the wood, and to trust the humped men that they would protect her from me. And surely I looked at her very grave, for I perceived that she did not truly jest, but made to anger me, and did be half in a strange anger herself, and something adrift. For she had not been whipped enough, but only to stir her rebellion utterly, and I saw that if she be not set right then, ere she leave my hand, she to be like to have some new foolishness that should take her unto her death, even as she had come over near already, as you to know. And this to be because that her nature did be stirred, so that her natural wiseness was all overset, and she to be that she do aught of unwisdom that should come to her, because of her pretty love foolishness, which did now be made the more strong by reason of the half rising of her anger. And this way, as I have known, I perceived that for her dear sake I should not let my lovingness weaken me in that moment, and in verity I shifted my hand and loosed the fastenings of her garment, so that her pretty shoulders did be bared. And her face to change sudden, and she looked up at me in an instant, with a little gasp, so that I knew that she did be all unbroken, as was mine intent. But she did not yet have learned deeply in her heart all that I was minded that she to learn, for even in that moment she made a sound that showed she did try to mock me, but truly she did not know in that instant whether to mock or to weep, though she did try to suppose that she had yet an heart for mockery. And I set the belt thrice across her pretty shoulders, where they did be bared, and surely the blows did be very stern and sharp. And lo, in one moment mine own broke into an utter weeping, so that I took her instant into mine arms, and did hold her strong and gentle against mine armour. And she did be as a child in mine arms, and did sob very strange and bitter, as that she did be all undone in the heart. And presently she did be quiet in mine arms, though I to feel how she did yet tremble, and she did cling tight unto me, and her face to be against mine armour. And afterward, when that she had ceased to tremble, I kissed her, and surely her mouth did be very humble, and her lids to be downward, and she to be something pale. And she then to be a while more in mine arms, very quiet, and so to come unto her dear self. And lo, presently she to want to kiss me of her own accord, and she put up her lips, very sweet and as a loving maid, that I kiss her. And surely I kissed her with an humble and a masterful love, and a strange pain to be about my heart, as you shall suppose, but yet my heart and my reason both to approve mine action, and the maid to be but the more mine own, and to have come again to her dear natural wisdom. Yet, as you shall know, there to be for a long while a strange and mixed pain in my bosom, both dreadful and tender, because that I had been so stern with mine own maid. So that even while that my heart and my reason did approve me, my heart to make somewhat of reproach, and this to have been some ways a foolishness, but yet human of our nature, and an wholesome trouble to the spirit, if that this troubling be not allowed to shape our actions to any harmful weakness. Now in a while the maid did come to composedness, and to be very gentle and sweetly natural, and she made presently that she would have me to loose her, and afterward she turned her back to me, even as a dear child, that I fasten her garment again upon the shoulders. And she did be both shy and glad and humble, and in dainty pride of submission, and utter mine own. And surely, as I did this thing for her, I perceived that she looked with a great shyness at the belt which did be yet in my hand. And when that I had made an end of fastening her garment, she did nestle unto me for a while, and afterward stood away and made shyly to show me that I put her belt again about her pretty waist. And I saw that she did be somewhat alack yet that she touched the belt, because that I had whipped her with it. And truly you to perceive how her heart did be in this matter. But if you not to know, then how shall I to tell you? And do but bid you ask your own maid, though in verity she to be like that she but laugh at you and leave you so wise as you be now, for the way of the heart of a maid doth be most hid to the maid, and she but to know the desire, and to lack the ending. But truly she doth know when that a man shall set the truth of her heart before her. Now when I had buckled the belt very nice again about mine own, we went backward a space until that we found the bundle, which she had dropped when that she ran off from me, and I saw also the portion of the strap which she cut, and so all to be found. And we went then at a good speed toward the river, for I was still minded regarding the seeming of movement which there had been among the trees, and very wishful that we had a raft made with haste, so that we might come to the little island where I did sleep before upon the outward way, as you shall remember. And I thought to have our slumber again in that place, and to make that day's journeying something short, because that the island was near and a good and safe place for our sleeping. And I told the maid concerning the island, and she to be in great delight and interest, because that it did be one of those halts of mine outward going, and did be all eager as a child when that I said we should truly have need of a raft to come to the island. And we came downward to the shore of the river, and indeed there did be those two same trees that had been my raft, there upon the shore of that place. And I showed these to mine own, and truly she did nigh to weep upon them, because of her dear emotions and love, and did cut a small branch therefrom with her belt-knife, and put the branch where she did put the piece of bark, this to be for a remembrance and an after delight and pondering. Now we looked well in all parts, that we find some other small tree that should be fallen, and the maid did climb a rock that did be near, with a flat top, so that she might search out around. And presently she cried out to me that there did be a tree to our purpose, and but 100 paces away, and she to go with me to show me, and to aid if need be. But indeed I carried the tree very easy, and had it with the others, and afterward we went about again for branches, and these I cut from live trees, using the discos with care and wiseness. And with these branches to be for cross-pieces, and our belts and the straps for binders, I set the trees together into a raft, and made it pretty good for our need, and so that no monstrous thing in the river should have a chance to snap upward between the trees at my dear one. And when the raft was done, I gat it to the water, and the maid did lend her strength, for the thing was heavy, as you shall think. And when this was done, I pushed a sharp branch downward into the shore, and I hooked a branch of the raft about this mooring, and so did be nigh ready for the voyage. But first I did need a pole to push the raft, and did wonder now where the other did be gone, that I cut upon the outward way. For I had set the pole with the two trees as I did mind, having some vague thought that mayhap I should live to come that way again. And I had a little strange unease that the pole did be gone, but scarce to know that I did be troubled, yet to set me to a new haste. And I bid the maid put the scrip and the pouch and her bundle secure upon the raft, and in that time I looked well about for a sapling tree that should do my purpose. And I saw that there grew an odd one a little to the side of the flat-topped rock that the maid had looked from, and whilst that I cut it the maid did come to watch, and made pretty chatter in the time that I trimmed the branches away. And lo, whilst that I did be part divided in mine attention between her dear talk and my work, and an haste that did be born of that little unease that was come upon me, my spirit to seem to be aware that there came a danger anigh to us, and the maid to have this same knowing, for she ceased her speech and looked at me with somewhat of trouble. And lo, in that moment, as I balanced the pole in my hands, there came the noise of a sudden bounding to our backward part, where the trees did grow something anigh. And I turned instant and looked, and behold, there did be upon us an humped man, very lumpish and mighty, and he stretched out his hands and ran at me. And I had no time to the discos, which did be upon the earth to my feet, and I smote the humped man with the point of the pole that did be in my hands, and the point took him very strong and horrid in the breast, and entered in so that the humped man gave out a strange howling, that did be half seeming of an animal and half of an human. And he clutched at the pole that did so hurt him, and I stooped very swift for the discos, and had it in a moment. And the humped man tore the pole out of his breast, and in the same instant I ripped him from the head downward, so that he did be nigh in two halves. For I had no mercy in mine act, even though my heart did be something sorry. Now even as the man died, there did be a sound of running in the wood before me, and lo, I turned very speedy to the maid, and she was there to my back, and had her belt-knife drawn in her hand, for she had it in her bosom where she had put it when that I took her belt for the raft. And I caught the maid about the waist with my left arm, and was come with her to the top of the rock in two great boundings. And I set her there upon the rock, and turned again to the way I came and swung the discos free, for indeed I had seen that there did come a number of the humped men among the trees. And there came running from the wood mayhaps a great score of the humped men, so that it did seem to me that we did be going to die, for how should one stand against so many, and they so quick and strong, as you shall mind? Yet in verity I had no despair, but did be mixed in the heart with a great fear for mine own, and a strange and exulting gladness that I should do that day some deed for mine own maid, and truly this to be the pomp of love and the heart-cry of the barbarian, as you shall say. And this may be, but truly I did be proper human, and to make no excuse because that I was natural, neither have I hid anywheres aught that I did think and feel. And whether that you approve or not, if that you condemn me, you condemn all humanity, and to have vain words and vain regrettings, for these things that be named for faults do but be the complement of our virtues, and if that you slay the first, you may chance to wither the last. For now I speak of things as they be now, and as they did be then, and nowise of lovely ideals that do live chief in the mind, and so much in mine as any, as you to know, if that you have gone with me all along my way. And surely I must cease from my thinkings, and go forward with my telling, for the humped men did come forward at a wondrous quick run, and did swarm upward onto the rock as that they did be panthers, and they made no outcry, but came silent to the killing. And I saw that they did be something smaller than he that I had but then slain. And in verity I did be all knit in that moment with speed and cleverness, for I split the heads of three with but quick turns of my wrist as I did wield the discos. And I kicked the face of another in the same time with my metal boot, so that he died, for there did be all my strength and all my skill working then for our salvation. Now all this to have been done in but a few beats of the heart, as I might say, and these men to have been in the front of the attacking, yet there did be no space to have breath, for there leapt three more of the men upon the rock, and one smote me with a great piece of rock that he carried, so that mine armour did seem as that it cracked, and I to be driven backward upon the maid, yet had slain one of the humped men even in that moment. and surely my dear one caught me in her arms behind and steadied me so that I fell not, and I slew the humped man with the rock even in that moment whilst mine own held me, as he came again to strike me. And I then to be firm again upon my feet, and did spring at the third of the humped men, and surely there was no room that he should be able to avoid me, even did that be his intent. And he came at me with a great leap, and I stood strong, looking clearly to my work, and I swung the discos with both my hands, and the blow took the humped man in the middle part, and split him whilst that he did be yet leaping. And in that instant there reached over the edge of the rock 2 of the humped men, and gat me by the feet, so that I was pulled sudden to my back very hard and bitter, and this to be done even whilst that the body of the humped man did be yet in the air. And the body came forward over me, and did be utter dead already, and fell down upon the rock beyond me, and rolled horridly, and went over the edge of the rock. And I did be all shaken and something bemused by the hardness of my fall, and the hands of the 2 humped men plucked me sharp to the edge of the rock, the while that I did strike vaguely to wound them, but did only chip the rock, and fortunate that I harmed not the weapon. And lo, in the moment that they had been like to have me downward to the earth into their midst, I to make a good stroke, for I cut the shoulder of one very dreadful, so that he loosed me, and immediately I kicked very fierce with my freed foot, and surely I nigh crushed the hand of that other with my metal boot, and he likewise to cease from dragging upon me. And immediately I knew that mine own did be helping me that I get instant to my feet again, for I was yet something dazed. And there came then a rush of the humped men up the rock, and truly it did be a glad thing for our lives that they might come up only upon but one side, for the other sides did be utter steep and smooth worn, and this to have been unto our saving, as you shall think. And I stood up to the rush of the humped men, and did smite hard at them with a quick circling of the discos, so that the great weapon did glow and roar, and they gave back from the blaze and the sound of the discos. And surely then I ran in upon them whilst that they did be something bewildered, and I gat the foremost man full upon the head, so that he did be dead before he did know what thing happened. Yet in verity this did be a dread moment to me, for the humped men leapt in at me upon every side in an instant of time, and I did be struck upon my headpiece and upon my back and breast with the stones that certain of them did carry, so that I rocked as I stood, and did near to swoon, and mine armour to be all dint and bent upon me, and I truly to seem that I had come to the time of my dying. And lo, in that moment of time there did come to my dazed sense a low and bitter cry of anguish from the maid, and this to set all my life aglow in me. And in verity there went a strange greyness of fury before mine eyes, and I then to fight as I did never fight before, and I did smite as it did seem for ever. And the greyness did ease from mine eyes, and the maid did have her arms about me as I stood, and the dead men to lie heaped upon the rock, and mine own to steady me, for I did be near slain, and the blood did go from me, and mine armour was all broke upon me by the smitings of the sharp stones. And I looked something slowly upon mine own, and she to know that I would ask whether that she did be harmed anywise, and she to be very brave with me, and to tell me that she did be well, and she to be all slain in the heart because that I did be so hurt, but truly I had fought a good fight, and did lack only to know that she come to no harm. Now my wits did come back into me very soon, but I did be utter weak, and scarce to stand, so that I did mind only that I get mine own safe unto the raft, and to put off then from the shore. And I walked slow to the edge of the rock, and looked well about, that I learn whether the humped men did be all gone away, and the maid did steady me. And lo, there came up in that instant the last of the humped men, and they were 5, and did creep very stealthy, that they have me in surprise. And I loosed from the maid, for I saw that I must come upon them whilst that I had any strength left in my body. and they now to leap upward unto me, so that I gat the first upon the head, and he to go backward dead. But truly I did be more weak than I knew, for I swayed upon the edge of the rock, and sudden I went downward to the earth, and did be there upon my knees, and my back to the rock. And in verity the humped men did come in upon me very swift, yet did they give back from the discos, which I swung to and fro, so speedy as I might, for my weakness, which did be so utter that I could nowise come to my feet to stand. And mine own came down swiftly from the rock, and ran past the humped men, and I to make that I shout to her to go to the raft. But truly I had no voice in my body, and did be dumb and weak, and did know that I should be gone forever from mine own in a little moment, and she to have none to protect her, neither to know the way of our journey, save by reason. And behold, mine own did shout to the humped men, and I perceived that she made to draw them after her, for she ran to and fro, and did shout continually. But indeed the humped men had no heed of her, but did make alway to come at me. And surely in that moment one of the humped men reached me, and smote me so shrewd, that sure he nigh cracked his monstrous hand upon mine armour, and did drive me backward upon the rock, and to make me bleed afresh, so that I was all in a daze, and near swooned away. And the humped man caught at the discos, yet in verity he loosed it on the instant, for it did burn and shake him very sore. And immediately he smote me again, and so made to end me. And lo, in that moment the maid ran in among the humped men, and she struck the man that strove with me, and drove her belt-knife once and again through his arm, very savage and determined. And surely the man turned upon her, and he caught her by her garments, and he ripped her 2 garments utter from her, so that they came away, and she did be free. And behold, mine utter despair for her did give me a new strength, so that I shouted to her that she run instant to the raft, and I cut the humped man in twain, and did fall back then into a part swoon against the rock. And lo, the maid ran out from the humped men, but they neither to know whether that they follow her, or that they come in upon me. And as they did pause, she to call to them, and to try that she tempt them from me toward the wood, for she had no thought of her life, but only that she free me and save me. And I too weak even to have power to command her to the raft, and she truly to have no heed to such command, even did I thus to call again. And there I did be, half gone out from this life, and looked at her with eyes that did scarce wot, save as in a dream. And lo, the humped men ceased sudden that they heed her, and the 3 that did be left came very sly unto me, and with slowness and cunning, for they wotted not whether I did be dead, or but a wait for them. And the maid perceived that they came not after her, and she let out a great cry that did be distant seeming in my dulled ears, and came back naked and running very swift. And she ran by me as death should run, white and silent, and her face set unto despair, and her eyes utter intent. And she struck her belt-knife into the shoulder of the near humped man. And the man howled and turned, and she did leap to the side, and the humped man ran at her. But lo, she leapt again this way and that, and utter silent, and so quick as a light doth seem to dance always in a moment. And the 2 other men did join with the first, that they catch her, and behold, she went about, and did run right away among the trees, and the 3 men did come after her, running very lumbersome, yet with a great speed. And the maid had the knife in her hand, and I knew that she did mean to slay herself presently, when that she could run no more, and in that moment it seemed that my heart burst, for that I should never more see mine own maid for ever. And there came some power of movement into me, and I came forward from the rock, and fell over upon my face. And I gat again to my knees, and began that I creep after the maid, and I did shout in whispers, for my voice had no more power to call. And the maid went from my sight among the trees, as a far white figure, that did run very swift, and was presently lost utter to my sight. And the humped men did go after, Yet even in my weakness I perceived that two did go something clumsy, as that they had been hurt in the fight, and they to be the rearward of the chasing. But he that the maid did cut with the knife was to the fore, and did run very strong, and surely they were all gone inward of the trees with a dreadful speed, and were lost from me. And the world did become sudden an emptiness and a great horror, and there was no sound in all the earth, as it did seem. And I knew that I was come to my feet, and did run toward the trees, and the discos did trail from mine arm by the hold buckle. And the ground did be as that it moved and shifted under me, and I not to feel where I trod, but did only peer desperate and lost among the trees. And, as I to know now, I heard my voice calling strangely, and afterward there was a thundering in mine ears, and I came downward upon my face. And I did know presently that I was alive, and there to be some dreadful terror at my heart, and surely I did remember and sickened and gat my head from the ground. And I looked among the trees, but there did be nothing, and everywhere there did be a strange silence and a dimness of unreal seemings. And I knew that mine own was gone from me, and had surely died. And the earth did be all stained about me with my blood, and I did be utter glad, for I to need death. And I swooned again, and was lost to my pain, but did live presently to know. And there was a little strength come into me, and I gat my head up somewhat from the ground, and did peer among the trees, and my head did be too heavy, and my face came against the earth once more. And because that I could not hold up my head, I rolled my head a little until that my cheek did be to the ground, and I to look this wise, so well as I might, but there did be nothing, and afterward I rolled my head again to the other cheek, and so to stare very weak and desperate, and not abled to look proper to my front. And lo, there went something among the trees, and did show white in the gloom of the wood, and did come through the trees, and I not to believe in the first that I did truly see aught, and sudden I to know that I saw somewhat. And behold, my heart did bound in me, so that all my body did waken, for I knew that mine own maid did run slow and staggering toward me through the wood. And I did be now upon my knees and upon my hands, and I did begin again to creep and to bleed, and did make little callings to mine own that had no sounding. And mine own drew nigh, and did rock and stagger, and did strike anon against the trunks of the trees, as that she did be gone near blind with her running. And in a moment she saw me, and that I did yet live, and did come unto her. And she made a strange and loving crying unto me, with a great gladness and with an utter weakness. And she came running, and was lost with faintness, and did sway this way and that, stumbling, and she went sudden to the earth, and did be still. And I crept onward so speedy as I might, and the earth to seem alway as that it moved from my hands, and to slide, and this seeming to be of my weakness, for my hands and my knees went every way, and my head to be that it kept nodding forward very stupid to the earth. And lo, as I came anigh unto the maid, where she did lie so quiet, I saw that something moved in the wood and was running. And truly it did be an humped man, and came forward very silent and with a quick slyness, as that he did track the maid secretly, for he looked alway to the earth. And I perceived that he was that one of the humped men which the maid had cut with the knife. For the blood did show upon the shoulder and the breast, and this bleeding may hap to have slowed the man, so that mine own did be like to have supposed she had come utter free, yet he to have found her by tracking, as I perceived. And I straved to my feet that I should come to the maid before the humped man, and surely I gat upright, and went with a strange running, and did roll, and lo, I fell immediate ere I was come to her, and the humped man to run also, and surely it did be a dreadful race. For I went creeping, and did be weak as that I was of lead, and the humped man came very swift and brutish, but I came the first to mine own maid, and I rose up at the humped man upon my knees, and I swung the discos, and the great weapon did roar in my hands as that it did know and did live. And the humped man ran in upon me, but I smote him truly with the discos, and he ran past me, all blundering, and he fell and died upon his face a little way off. And lo, my wounds had brake out into a great bleeding, and my head did roll upon my shoulders, and I looked down dull, yet with an utter great love upon mine own, and there did be no proper wound upon her, but yet was she all bruised and knocked and marked with the trees, and where she did fall in her running. And she did be there, very still and dear, and I to have brake my heart with love for her, but that I did be so dulled, as I have told. And I fought that I should be strong a little while more against my weakness, and I strove that I set mine ear gently upon her breast, that I should listen for her heart. But my head did go downward something clumsy and heavy upon her. And I then to hearken, and surely she did live, and her heart did beat, though in verity mine ears did have at first a thundering, but afterward a quietness in them that made the sounding of her pulsing to seem an utter long way off, and very faint it did be. And surely in that moment, even as I harked, I was gone over into a deadness, and had no more knowing, neither to have even a knowledge that I did be slipped from my senses. And behold, the maid did lie swooning, and I to be there in my broken armour, and my head upon the breast of mine own, and likewise to know naught, and about us the quietness of that country, and the far noise of the great fire hills that did sound through eternity. End of chapter 13, part 4. Chapter 14, Part 1 of The Nightland by William Hope Hodgson. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. The Nightland. Chapter 14 On the Island, Part 1. Now I came unto my senses, and did be in pain and a great forgetfulness and bewilderment, and I strove that I rise, but did be held by a strange force, that did be surely my weakness, as I to know afterward. And I was upon my back, and a little sound did be near me, as that something did pant. And I turned my head very slow, because that I did so lack of strength. And lo, I saw that the maid did be anigh to me, and did be yet naked, and did pant and pushed hard and desperate with a great pole, which did be surely that one which I had cut when that the humped man came upon us. And therewith I remembered all, and perceived that I did be upon the raft, and the maid to push the raft along with the pole. And at that I made a little sound with my mouth, but the maid not to hear me, for she did look backward, as I should think to the shore. And her face did be very set and anxious, and there to be a far noise of howling, that I knew to be the voices of the humped men. And so to perceive that the maid had come unto her senses, and had gat me somewise to the raft, whilst that I did yet be swooned, and thus to save me ere the humped men had come. But in verity, how she did this thing I never to learn, neither she to know, but only that her love did give her a great and desperate strength that she saved me that did be her man. And afterward mine own maid did tell me how that she had come into her senses, and did be there upon the earth, and somewhat did be upon her breast, and saw that it was my head which did be heavy upon her, and I to be surely gone out from this life, for I was so still. And she came from under me, and did ease me out upon the earth, and her heart nigh brake, because that I was so bebled, and my blood to have stained all that did be near. And when she had gat me restful, she saw that I did surely live, and a great hope to spring in her heart. And oft as she had eased me, she had looked about, and there did be naught to the sight, save the body of the humped man anigh, and the others dead about and upon the flat-topped rock as you to mind. And she ran then very speedy to the raft, and brought water from the river in my headpiece, and she dashed the water upon me, but I to have no power to come unto my senses. And lo, in that moment, she to know by some subtle telling of the spirit that there came some danger anigh, and she then to make that she save me, or that we die both of us together. And she strave with me, and did carry and draw me that weariful way unto the raft. And she gat me on to the raft, and she then for the pole that did be beside the rock. And whilst that she took the pole, she perceived her torn garments, that did be yet in the hands of the humped man, even as she had slipped them to escape him. And she caught the garments very hasty from the hand of the man, and ran then to the raft, and she pushed the raft out from the shore, and leapt aboard. And behold, as she made to use the pole, there came a sound out of the wood. And there ran from the wood the two humped men that did yet live, and they to have tracked her, after that she did run from them, and they ran downward to the shore, very silent and intent upon her, but she to work with an utter despair, and to have the raft a good way out ere they did be come. And surely they either to have no power of swimming, or to know that there did be a dread in the water, for they made not to come after, but did stand and stare very stupid, and afterward to howl, and this howling I did hear, when that I was come unto myself upon the raft, as you do know. And by this telling you to be so wise as I, for more I know not, save odd things that I did learn afterward, that did but set my love more wholly unto mine own maid, and these to have been but small matters of love thoughts that we did have together, and scarce clear unto my remembering. And lo, even as I hearkened unto the howling of the humped men, the sound did grow more faint and far off, for the maid worked very desperate with the pole. And I did feel that I would help her, but yet was so alack, and surely, even as I did mean to rise, I was gone again utter from my senses, and that dear naked one did pilot me safe and loving unto the safe harbouring of the little island that you do mind, and had no thought unto herself, but only that she save me. And I to be there, scarce offered from my death, and to have no knowing of aught, and no more power to help or to be a shield unto mine own, but did be only an helpless man that had surely died, save for the care of my beloved. Yet did I fight a good fight, and have alway a great joy in the remembering. Now I mind nothing very clear after this for a great time, but only of pain and weariness, and of half wakings, and times when I did know naught, and others when that I did be awake, yet did have no realness, either in myself or in any land or place, and all to come back strange and vague, yet with a constant knowing that there went love about me, and a great and gentle watchfulness, so that I was eased when that the black mists of my weakness did uprise about me to swamp me, and I was made to know hope when that unknown despairs did live stealthy within me. And lo, there came a time when I waked, and did be freed of uncertain burdenings and peculiar woes, and that still haze through which great achings did come constant upon me. And surely I was laid very nice upon somewhat that did be soft, and there went a sweet quietness about me, and an healthful drowse did grow in my bones. And slowly I perceived that the maid did kneel beside me, and did look upon me with so great a love and gladness, that it be as that I drank in health and a drowsy joy and peace. And surely she stooped and kissed me with an utter gentle love upon my mouth, and her tears to go sweet upon my face, and truly I kissed her again with an utter content. And she took my head in the comfort of her arm, and gave me somewhat that I drink, and when I had drunk she kissed me once again, so light as that a pretty wind did blow hushed upon my lips. And upon my head she made easy, and lo, I was gone over unto sleep even as she tended me. And thrice do I mind that this to happen, and at the third time I knew that my strength was come something into me again, and I moved my hand a little this way and that, and she to know that I did need her to hold my hand, and she to do this, and I to go into sleep again, even while that I looked sleepy, yet with all my love, into her eyes. And when I waked for the fourth time, I did whisper that I loved her, and surely she broke into a sudden weeping, and did hold my hand very dear against her breast. And when I waked for the fifth time, I to know how things did be about me, and that I did lie naked in the cloak, and did be all bandaged about my body, and the bandages, as I did know afterward, did be from the torn garments of the maid. And I looked at the maid, and knew that she did be dressed again, and did be in the garments that I did give to her, as you to mind, which did be that one and the inner that the humped man tore from her, and which she had slipped that she escaped from the man. And afterward I found that she had made a very cunning mend of the garments, whilst that she did sit so utter long beside me to tend me, for she had gotten threads from her torn garments, and had made needles from thorns that did grow on the little bushes of the island, and the thorns did break oft, and she then to have another, and so to persist 100 times. And this way she did be dressed very nice and dainty. And mine own maid perceived how that I looked with interest at her, and did mind, very natural, how that I last to have seen her, and she then to blush gently, and did kiss me that she have her pretty face something from mine eyes. And truly I to wish the more that I be strong, that I kneel in a glad reverence unto her, for this way did be my love, and ever so, and you likewise, that have truly loved. Now I did begin that I grew very steady unto my strength again, and mine own maid did tend me alway, and she gave me a broth of tablets and the water at set times, by the telling of my timepiece. And oft she washed me, and did change the bandages, and did wash and dry the bandages, that she used them over again, for we did be so lacking for such matters, as you to know. And on the fifth day I was come utter to ease, and did be wondrous happy, and mine own to make pretty talk unto me, but had me to be alway quiet, because that I did be yet so weak. And on the sixth day I to be let answer mine own, and to say how great I did love her, the which mine eyes had said alway, while that I did lie in silence. And I to be assured by the maid that she did be in health, and recovered, but indeed I saw that she was gone very thin, and that her eyes did be weary, even while that they had so great a love and a gladness to me. And I made mine own to bring her tablets by me, as she did alway, and when that I had kissed them, and she to have eat and drunk, I bade her to make me the broth ready. And when she had made the broth, I asked that the discos be set anigh to me. And afterward I bid her to my side, and had her to lie by me, and I took her pretty head upon mine arm, and told her that she to lie thus and to sleep, and to have no fear that she weary me, for that I to be but the more rested to have her so beside me. And she in the first to trouble that she be too heavy for mine arm, but truly I showed that my strength was something come back to me, for I pressed her gentle unto me, and she then to nestle content, and to be gone into an utter sleep, and to have been in a sore need of the same. And mine own did sleep for 12 great hours, and had scarce any life in all that time, save when once she did make a little and gentle moaning, and did afterward set her pretty face more nigh to me in her sleep. And surely I had neither weariness nor lonesomeness, but did lie with an utter content, and did look downward upon the maid, where she did sleep in the hollow of mine arm, and truly she did be most wondrous lovely and dainty, and the goodness of her face did seem as that it had made an holiness about my heart, so that my spirit was uplift in a quiet and constant glory of love. And I drank a part of the broth at the 3rd hour, and at the 6th hour, and at the 9th hour, when that I finished it. And my right arm did be free to this purpose, and to the discos, and surely I did twice and thrice set my hand upon that great weapon as to a true comrade, and in verity I could think the weapon did know and did love me. And this thinking to be because I did be so uplift as I have told, Yet truly the discourse did be a strange and wondrous thing, and did be always thought to have an oneness with the man that did use it. And in the 12th hour the maid awoke sudden, and came upward out of mine arm, all in a sweet haste, that she know that I did be well. And she did be eased wondrous, when that she saw how I laughed with a quiet joy but to see her dear eyes and her pretty trouble. Yet did she be in reproach to herself, when that she looked to find how the hours had passed. But indeed I did make a mocking sternness with her, and forbade that she even to say one little word more upon this matter, but to be glad that I did be so utter happy, and she likewise. And truly, when I had said this, that impudent maid did set her little fist against my nose, and to threaten me. And in verity I laughed so hearty that the maid did be in fear I should set my wounds again to bleed, and did reproach herself again. But in truth I came to no harm. And when that I could speak, I asked the maid whether that there had been brothers to her, because that she did play so natural. And this I asked, not thinking, and lo, in a moment I perceived my thoughtlessness, but said naught, save to take the hand of mine own, that she know utter that I did not be heartless. And she to nod very quiet, and afterward kissed my hand, and slipped from me. And I knew that she was gone a little way off, lest she weep. And I did be in trouble for her, and for mine alackness. But truly I could do naught, only that I called very gentle unto her. And she to return soon, and did smile loving and cheerful upon me. But indeed I saw that she covered her weeping whilst that she made me new broth. Yet before I would take the broth I would have her to mine arms, and she to submit very glad and happy, but to keep her pretty weight from me, lest she hurt my woundings. And afterward we both to eat and be happy in glad talk. And presently I did sleep, but would have her to be nigh to me, even though she did be wakeful, and so we to be utter content together. Now the 7th day, as it might be called, was a wondrous happy time. And when I waked, the maid did be sleeping as a child to my side, and her face nestled against me. And she to waken in a moment, for thus had she drowsed and watched through all the hours whilst that I had slept. And we then to eat and to drink together, after that mine own had made me easy with a gentle washing and care. And I now to be allowed that I have my tablets whole, and the water afterward, as when that I did be well. And this to please me, as you shall think. For I did ache that I be strong very speedy, that I have power to guard mine own maid again, and to go forward with our journeying, that I have the maid unto the safeness of the mighty pyramid. And surely, now that I had my tablets whole, I to feel that I did grow near unto fitness again, and moreover they did satisfy my hunger the better than the broth. And the maid to give me my tablets oft, so that I eat a great many, and I did make her to count, and surely there did be sufficient, if that I get strong pretty quick. And so I made no refusing of the tablets, for I did need them, that I make blood again within me, else should I be lacking, when that there came any need anigh. And we kissed each of the tablets of the other, and did drink from the same cup, and did be utter happy, and did be part like children, but also to be man and maid. And presently the maid did shift my bandages, as alway, and washed me proper, and had me into comfort. But she did keep me alway very low lying, and truly I scarce to mind, for I was not gotten enough of my strength to give me to feel irked. And further, as you shall think, there did be that lovely one with me alway, and did make sweet quips unto me, and talked and did laugh, and oft did come into singing, for she did be so sweetly joyed that I was in life and did mend so proper. And afterward she went off from me a little to her toilet, but I to ask that she be so swift as might be, and she to promise very merry. And she came back in a little while, and her hair to be in a lovely cloud about her shoulders, and her pretty feet yet to be bared from her bath, which she had in a pool beyond some bushes. And she to say that I did be so impatient a man, that she to be forced that she do the half of her dressing with me. But truly she came this wise only because she to know how I did delight in her thus, and to watch the way that she set up her abundance of hair, and she to be hungry also that she be with me, and to love me that I watch her, even while that there did be oft a little and quaint stirring of shyness in her dear heart. And I had her to come beside me, and to sit a nigh to my hand, and I made presently that I did scold her, because that she had no proper care to her pretty feet, and I bid her to set her feet toward me, that I looked the more close at them. And she to be a pretty rogue, and did think I to mean to kiss them, and truly not to think alway wrong, but I then to have another planning. For I had plucked a hair very sly from her head, and she but to have said an O to me, and to have thought no more. But indeed when that she gave her feet to me, I held them so strong as I might, and I bound her pretty toes together with the hair, and surely she did be a captive unto me, and we to laugh, as that we to be both children. And afterward she stole back her feet from me, but in verity I knew that she had a wondrous heed that she brake not the hair that bound her, but did sit beside me bound in that pretty way, but yet to hide from me that she did not break the hair. And she then to do her hair upon her head very lovely, and afterward I put up my hands and took it down again, and she then to kiss me, and to ask how that she should ever have it proper upon her head, if that I did always so tease her. And she then to take her hair, and did set the abundance of it upon both sides of my face, and then to kiss me, as I did look up at her from out of so much beauty. And afterward she cut a lock of my hair, and a lock from her own dear head, and she did plait the two locks together, so that our hair did blend and be together, and afterward she hid it in her bosom. But I did be then out of content, and would have done likewise, only that it did so weary me to uphold my hands. And she to cut a second lock from my head, and a second tress of her own most lovely hair, and she made me to kiss the hair that did be from her, and she then to kiss the hair that did be from me, and afterward she did plait them together and gave them to me. And I set the hair for that time under the great bandage that went over my heart. And truly she did be then the one that lacked content, for she to say that the second plaiting did be kissed, and the first to lack, but I to refuse to exchange, so that we made up a quarrelling, and did presently have to be kissed unto forgiveness. And truly have you not likewise known such glad foolishness, when that you were in the love days? And she then to make me to be quiet, and to keep my hands downward from her hair, because that the uplifting did prove overmuch to me, and she took my great hands then, and did threaten how dreadful she use me, if that I be not humble. And truly I said that I did be an humble man, and she then to hold my hands with but one small one. And surely her hand did be so small that she not able to hold me, save by the thumbs. And she then with her free hand to cover mine eyes, so that I might not see, and whilst that she did hold me thus so utter helpless, she to kiss me very dainty and impudent upon the mouth, and afterward she loosed me and did be demure. And we did be then silent a space, and presently I put forth my hand, that did be very great, yet to be gone white and to tremble, because that I did lack so utter of blood. And the maid to know what I did mean, and she clenched her hands into two fists, and set them both into my one hand, and surely they did be little fists. And I then to be happy, for this did be a wondrous pleasure alway unto me, and she to have her lids a little downward upon her eyes, and to be quietly happy. And truly how I minded all so plain. And afterward I did plague her very gentle that she to be all alack, if that she did try to use her hands to aught, because that they did be so small. And she in a moment to have her two arms very dear about my neck, and did kiss me with an utter love and tenderness upon the mouth, and afterward went from me, lest that she have me to overset myself. And I did then to make her to sit by me, and I did tell her a tale, how that a young man did once live in the olden days, and did meet with the one maid upon all the earth, and how that they loved and did be married, and she to die, and of the utter and desperate madness of grief that nigh destroyed the man, and how that he sudden to wake into the future of the world in a new time, and did come to learn that his own did also to live in that time. And he then to make that he find her, and did truly come unto her, and how she did be different in her beauty, but yet to be utter lovely. And the man did hold an utter reverence to the maid that had been his wife in the olden dream days, so that his reverence of love did live in him like a constant pain and anguish of sweetness and trouble, and of holy thoughts that did be bred of her lovely companionship, and of his memories. But in truth I gat not farther in the tale than this, for mine own did have come sudden into weeping, and had gotten to her knees, and did hold my hand against her breast, and did put her hand gentle upon my lips. And in a moment she to whisper somewhat through her tears, and there to be dear motherhood within her face, and a sudden shining of memory in her eyes, that had been near dreadful, only that it did seem to be to her as that she were part dreaming. And the strange and solemn pain did come also unto me through the part open gateways of my memory, and I to remember very clear and with an anguish in that moment, and I told mine own how that the babe had gone onward, after that the beloved had died, and there did be then an utter quiet upon us. And lo, sudden the maid did bend unto me, and I to take her into mine arms, out of the vague dreamings of her memory dreams. But ere she did become outward entire from the haze of the past, she to try to set somewhat into words concerning this memory vision of the babe, but someways to be strangely dumb. And I did be silent likewise, because of all those things that did be between us for ever and for ever. And presently she kissed me, and was herself again, and she went from me to attend unto our food. Now that did be truly a lovely day, for I to have got sufficient of strength that I did be able to have interest and talk with mine own maid, and she now to be well rest, and to have ease in her dear heart concerning me. And surely we oft to laugh, and did make jests utter glad and foolish. And indeed I do mind how that I asked mine own an olden puzzle, that did come out of the vagueness of my memory dreams. And she to be like a person that doth hear a strange familiar thing, and lo, sudden she to say, as that she gat knowledge from beyond eternity, that it did be when that he was a little horse. And you to know the jest, and to have troubled it oft at school. But in verity it did be a strange thing to have from our memories out of all the deep of time. And we, in truth, never in that age to have seen or to have known that ever there did be an horse, or to mind the likeness of one, and this to be but a little matter, yet of strange and peculiar interest, as you to agree. And indeed we did both to look one at the other when that we had ended, and did wonder what an horse did be, yet in the same time did have a vague inward knowing. And so we do look ever backward through dim ages, and surely we got presently from jests unto solemnness, and the maid to be nigh again unto tears. And in truth I then to bring our thoughts and our speech forward from the abyss of the years, and did cease from memory dreaming for that time, and so to have the maid again in joy, yet mayhap something wistful odd whiles. And presently I to tell the maid 100,000 things concerning the mighty pyramid, of which I had so oft said somewhat, but never to have got so great a chance as this unto a plenty of time and so nice an oneness in the way that our minds did go. And surely the maid did be eager in a moment and did be hushed, and again to ask constant concerning all matters. And in verity there went a great while this way, and the maid to have an utter wonder and excitement of all that I to tell, for truly it did be as that a man of this age should come downward from a great star in the heavens, and to tell of wonders and new things, and you to understand how she did feel. And of all the things that did most have a happiness unto the maid, I to perceive that the great life and humanness of the millions to dwell within her imaginings as a cloud of warmth and quiet joy, for I did show this thing to her so well as I was able. And in truth you shall tell me in honesty whether that I have made the same likewise clear seen unto you. And she, as you shall mind, did be a maid that had grown all her life in a refuge that did be shaken with hauntings, because that it lacked the power of the earth current to protect, and with a people that did be weak conceived through great thousands of years, and where love did bloom something faded even in youth, and youth to have a lack of the life-blood of an utter joy, such as did be ours and likewise to many that did be of the mighty pyramid. Though truly there did go millions then as now that did never know love, though the name did be in their mouths, and they to have belief that the sweet kernel did be in their hearts. But in verity this to be love, that your life shall bound you with abundance, and joy dwell round you, and your spirit to live in a natural holiness with the beloved, and your bodies to be a sweet and natural delight that shall never be lost of a lovely mystery that doth hold a perfect peace each unto the need of the other, and all to be that there go round about you a wonder and a splendour all the days and the nights that you shall be, the man with the woman with the man, and shame to be unborn, and all things to go natural and wholesome out of an utter greatness of understanding, and the man to be an hero and a child before the woman, and the woman to be an holy light of the spirit and an utter companion and in the same time a glad possession unto the man. And lo, if one to die, then the soul of the other shall fail, and that one never to have full life again in that bitter parting. And this doth be the true human love, and all else that be not like to this with the man and with the woman doth be but a borrowing of the name of love for that quiet desiring, which is but an endurance beside love, which doth be between they that be not mated both in their souls and in their bodies. And this telling to take no heed to those base joinings that be made for purposes of wealth or desire or other piteous ends. For in verity these to have no more dealings with the thing that I do tell upon than hath the merchanting of goods, or the need of a glutton. But the thing that I do have upon my heart doth be that dear and uplifting power of love, which I to set forth in this mine own story. For in truth I to have known love, and to need death when that I be parted from mine own. Now surely mine own did come twice and thrice unto weeping, as I did tell of this thing and that, which did set her memory backward unto the ways of the lesser redoubt. And presently I did cease from my tellings, because that she did so be gone into pain of her memories. But indeed she then to beg me that I go forward again, for truly she to need in the heart that she know, and to strive to be no more in grief for the telling. And I then to say on, and did tell upon the might and wonder of the great olden delight of the underground fields, that were below the great redoubt as you do know. And I told how that they went downward an 100 strange miles, that did be dug of the labour of millions and of the years of eternity. And I set out unto mine own concerning that there did be wondrous villages spread through that great and hidden country that did be in the underground, and how that great millions of the peoples did live there, and made a constant labour in those deep lands and countries that did be truly so monstrous in all as an huge continent. And I showed mine own how that there did be wondrous processes that did be learned in the ages, and how that water did be made in chemistry, and truly she to nod to this, because that she did mind upon the powder that we did use. But truly the powder to have to be made in the first, as you shall think, and we but to advantage ourselves of that which did result, and I to speak to her of the making of the powder, rather than of the way that it afterward to make chemistry with the air unto water. And I told the maid how that there did be mighty underground pipes that went across the Nightland, and did be mayhap oft so much as 20 great miles deep in the world, and did come upward into the seas of the land, and all to have been made secret and hid from the monsters of the land, as I to know from much readings of the histories. And mine own then to tell me that they did lack to have any such great wonders below the lesser redoubt, but that there did be utter monstrous caverns, where that there had been alway a strange and uncouth country of husbandry, and lit from the earth current, and they also there to bury their dead. And all had been alack through great thousands of years, as she did know of their records, and had grown dim lit and lonesome, and a land of deepness to starve the spirit with an utter strangeness and discomfort, where that the men went quietly as ghosts through many ages, and all a place in dire want of sound and laughter. End of chapter 14, part 1. Chapter 14, Part 2 of The Nightland, by William Hope Hodgson. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. The Nightland. Chapter 14, On the Island, Part 2. Yet this ought to have been surely different a monstrous age gone, when that the earth current did be a power in the lesser redoubt, and the humans to be in plenty, and of good and natural health and courage of life. And truly, to mind upon that place doth alway to set a fresh wonder in me, that mine own did be so lovely and wholesome of spirit and wise and in knowledge and good force of her being. But so it did be with her, and she to have been surely alway that one that did be mine own. And I then to tell mine own maid concerning the lowest field, which did be the country of silence, and was the place of memory unto all the great millions, where did linger and bide the ghosts of 100 billion griefs, and the drifted thoughts of sorrowful hearts, and there to live a great hallowedness and a mystery of silence and an holiness and a greatness, as that it did be the expressing of all that doth be noble and everlasting that ever did come out of the heart of man and all the lost dead of eternity, so that the spirit of a man did seem to go on great wings unto lovely and splendid resolvings, if that he but to walk lonely a while in that country that surely did be never lonesome unto the spirit. And lo, the maid did be all hushed as I did speak, and did look downward unto me with her eyes very bright and lovely with the thinkings and tears that did stir within her. And sudden she to ask whether that I did make my resolve to my journey whilst that I walked in that place, and she to look very intent and beautiful upon me as she did question. And indeed I saw that she to mean a lovely praise unto me, as you to perceive, and truly I did feel a little strange, as that I did be both glad and shy in the same moment. And she then to ease me of any answer, for she gat upward upon her knees, and she put her 2 hands to the sides of my face, and bid me to look into her eyes, and to know that she loved me with her soul and with all that did make her to be. And afterward she kissed me very gentle upon the forehead, and did be then hushed a while, as that she to be in thought. Yet oft she did look downward at me, and did have a beauty of love and honour within her eyes, so that they alway to shine, as she did look at me. And presently the maid did sit again beside me, and slipped her 2 hands into the one of mine, as did be ever my desire, and she to love that she give me this delight, and likewise she to have joy to herself in this lovingness. And we then again to have talk, and I did tell mine own somewhat of the history of the olden world, and she did have dim memories, as in dreams, of the days of light, yet scarce that she could believe it of truth. But she to have knowledge of the olden love days within her spirit, and to mind that there did be alway, as did be, a lovely and golden light upon the world, but she not to know truly whether this to be but the holy glamour light that memory doth set about a past loveliness, and to have no remembering of the sun, but yet to be made ready by her memories unto believing. And I to know of certainty, but yet even I that do tell this my tale, did but perceive the days of the light as in a far and vague dream, and to remember it but in the chief by the glory of lost sunsets that had cast an holiness upon my heart, and of the hush of dawns that had made ready my spirit in the gone ages to look quietly unto my death. And surely you to go with me in all this thing, and to have felt within your own spirit that uplifted wonder that doth shake the soul with the lost beginning and with the unknown end, when that you have looked through the sorrow of the sunset and stood silent before the quiet voice that doth make promise in the dawn. But in verity we that had near lost our memory of the surety of these great wonders did have memory of love, and this to be the most beautiful unto my heart. For it but to show the more how that love doth live for ever, and doth make an holiness in all places, and doth give companionship and satisfying, so that to have love is to have all, and to have escaped this wonder is to have missed to have lived. And I to find then that mine own did have no knowledge of the way that the world did be in that future age, and did lack to know that there abode mightily above us in the everlasting night the dead starkness of the world, where did be, mayhap 200 great miles above us, snow and the eternal desolation of a lost world, that did be once the lovely world of the olden days, which did be now given over unto night and silence. And mayhap there did wander upward there memory, and did go companioned by grief. But indeed I to delight to think that hope and love did build houses of joy about the dead, and there to be no true death, but only the dying of days. Yet surely this doth be sorrow enough unto the heart and the soul, if that they did be days when love did make a mystery of light about the spirit, and the beloved to have been anigh to make ever a sweet wonder unto the heart. But I to cease from these thoughts, for we to face our life brave and wise, and to take both the sorrow and the joy into our developing, and to hold up the face with courage when that grief doth come anigh, and to see that we grow not to bitterness, but unto sweet wholesomeness. And there to be joy again, and we then the better abled to have that delight into our hearts, for how shall joy ever to come truly again to that heart which bitterness hath made a place for the abode of sorrow? And truly I to cease from these thinkings also, for my story to wait upon me, and these things that I do say to be plain unto you, and to have no need to the telling. And so did I tell mine own maid of the things that I did learn from the little metal book, and she to be in a constant wonder and delight and with an awe and newness upon her. And sudden there did some olden memory stir within her, for she asked me in one instant whether that I did remember when that the cities did move alway unto the westward. But truly I had no remembering of this thing, and did look at her a while with somewhat of a trouble upon me, for that there should be aught lacking in my memory of those times that we did be together upon this world, was a fear unto me and a vague sorrow alway, if that I did but to let my thought go that way. Though indeed I did ever strive to wiseness, and did have knowledge that there doth be an heart-wearing and despair and needless trouble in vain regrets, but yet these to be natural unto the spirit, if that you to know love, and to be but the complement of the love-joy, and mayhap to have a use unto the sweetening of the spirit, if that they be not let to override the reason. And whilst that I did look unto mine own, that she helped me to remember, she did strive with her memory, but in the end did fail to come to aught of clearness, save that she did see, as in a far dream, yet very plain, a great metal roadway, set in 2 lines that went for ever unto the setting sun. And she then sudden to say that she did see in her memory the sun, and she to have a strange and troubled amazement upon her. And there did be cities upon the great road, and the houses did be strange seeming, and did move forward eternally and at a constant speed, and behind them the night did march for ever, and they to have an even pace with the sun, that they live ever in the light, and so to escape the night which pursued for ever, as she did tell, and a dread and terrible chill that did live in the night. And there did be cities far forward in the morning sunshine, that did have gone before at speed, and set the husbandry of the world, and to be finished and gone for ever again, ere that certain of the latter cities did come to that place to the reaping, and the night to come presently to that place, but this not to be for some part of a year after that the crops were taken, but how long this might be, she not to remember. And all this the maid did say to me, as out of a strange dream, and I to have set it down, and to have made it so clear to you as she to have told it. And surely it doth be plain then that she to speak of a time when that the day did be grown to a monstrous length, because that the world did turn but slow and weary. And it to be a sureness, as you shall perceive, that but to stand still in that age of which Nanni told, was to be left presently in an utter night and chill, that should last mayhap a great and weary year. And in verity it does seem that all humanity did travel for ever in that strange age, when that to stay was to die unprepared in the bitter night, and to go forward was to be for ever in the sun. And truly this doth be so strange seeming to me as to you. And much I questioned the maid, and did have an hurt within my heart, and a pain of jealousy and sadness to grow in me, for surely she did speak of some life that she did live, when that I did be elsewhere, either in life or unknowing. And in verity, what man then should have taught mine own to love him, and she then mayhap to have had no remembering of me? And truly I questioned very desperate, and the more so because that I was yet weak, and lacking my strength to be composed. But she neither to remember me nor any other man of that time, and to have no memories save these bare things that she to have spoken out so strange, and which did come sudden unto her out of all the deepness of the years and the lost sorrows and joys and wonders of that which doth make a world of humans. And surely my questionings brought a distress upon mine own, both because that she did be troubled by the way that my love did bring me to this strange anguish, and because that she also to have pain, and a sudden fear that there did be ever a time when she not to have known me, or to have permitted the arms of another. And she did then strive that she be both wise and strong, and to give help unto me, and to take reason unto her own easing. And truly she to show how that she did be all unknowing of any love in that far backward time, but to be possible in reason that she to have gone to another in natural course, the while that her heart did yearn alway in vague trouble unto her own, that her spirit did mayhap never to have forgotten. And truly this doth be the way of life, and a bitter thing and a sorrow to joyous love to think upon. Yet I here to be set to the telling of truth, and to have heed to all that reason doth show to be. But mine own did also have us both to remember that there did be equal right to think that she had died mine own maid in that life, for that it did be not out of reason to think that she had been void-hearted unto all men, because that she had known in her spirit that she did once to meet her own, and did be thereafter untuned unto all other men that ever did live. And this all to be in a mist, and we to go vainly. And of her will she did think that no man did ever to have possessed her save I, yet this to be mayhaps only the prompting of her love, and she then to kiss me, and to say that there did be no surety in aught, but only that we did have been together before, and have borne a love so great that it did live through eternity, and we to be now together, and maybe all else to be but dreams. And truly I did have a fierce hope that this be so, and the maid likewise so to hope, yet to be less bitter with rebellion than I, though in pain upon the thought. For she did be so utter and dreadful glad and in happy thankfulness that we did be now come together again in the end, and did mean that she conquer all that should be like to set a greyness upon our joy, and to be steadfast unto this end. And I afterward to be likewise in wisdom, when that I was come the more to strength, and to mind that I suffer vainly for that which did have no surety, as I have shown. And moreover I did have no power upon the past, either to learn aught or to mend aught, so that I did go the way of an human, and did shake free from these broodings, and strove unto forgetfulness, which in truth doth be both a terror and a mercifulness, as doth chance. And I kissed mine own maid with somewhat more of the years within my love, and she to kiss me very sober and dear, and to desire only for my happiness, and to be utter mine own. Now we then to eat and to drink, and the maid to see me unto comfort in all things, and my bandages all right, and she then to make that she have on her footgear, and her hair to be bound. But indeed I bid her that she to dare do this thing, when that she to know how I did delight that her little feet be bare to mine eyes, and her hair most lovely upon her shoulders, and she to be very happy that I so to have an utter pleasure in her dear beauties, and did sit beside me again, and set her feet very sly where they did be anigh to my hand. For she to know that she did be mine own, and I to be her master, and she to have joy that she to have to render her beauty unto me, for she did be that true compliment unto me that the heart of a man doth ache for eternally. And so presently did end that lovely day of quiet speech and togetherness, and the maid did prepare me for my slumber, and she then to lie anigh to me, and her head to rest gentle beside me, so that her pretty face did be near unto my breast upon the right side, and she to give me at the first a loving and sober kiss that did be somewise to set a guard upon her tenderness, and afterward did sleep content and gentle, as that she did be in the same moment a child and a woman. And I also to come unto slumbering, yet did know vaguely how that mine own did rise a little upon her elbow this time and that, and look very loving into my face, that she have assurance of my comfort and well-being. And once I did waken proper and looked at her, and she then to kiss me gentle upon mine eyelids, and bid me to sleep, and so did come herself unto her sweet slumber. Now when that I did come to my proper wakening, I to hear the fizzing of the water, and to know that the maid did be risen a good while, and had made her toilets, as I perceived in a moment, when that she came unto me. For her hair did be in a lovely cloud upon her shoulders, all combed and made ready against my waking, and she to have bathed, as I supposed, in some warm pool that did be among the bushes upon the island, and she now to slip her footgear, that her feet be bare unto me, as I did love, and to stand a moment, and her eyes to twinkle gently. And I looked at her with love and honour in mine eyes, as you shall know, and she to have dancing of sweet pleasure in her heart, that I so to look upon her with holiness and with natural love, and surely the last doth be unnatural if that it do lack the first. But my love did burn upward out of my being, so that the flame of my spirit did light the fires of my heart, and my reason to add coals unto that fire that hath lived for ever, and doth be as that it shall be never quenched. And mine own in a moment did kneel beside me, and truly some ways in her deep intenseness unto me, for our love did make all the world holy, and she to be both uplifted, and as that she must give all the humbleness of her heart unto the greatness of my love. And this she to feel, and her deep and utter love to make it as that she did be all a passion of humbleness unto me, so that in her soul I did rise in that moment upon the wings of my love, and to see that I did be all the world and all the time and all the place and all that ever she did need unto her. And she put out her arms to me, and her eyes did shine with those tears that do never be shed. And lo, in a moment she did be upon my heart, and we two to be hushed together in content for our need to be in the other. And truly, where there do be two together with love, there doth be neither lack nor need, but eternal fulfilment. And in verity this to be my hope for that which doth come afterward, that all doth be leading unto so glad a joy as this, and that all pain and grief and all that doth make the shaping of life doth be but a process by which we be eternally perfected from living unto living, unto each fulfilment that doth be but the doorway unto greater fulfilment in the Beloved. And presently mine own maid did loose herself gentle from me, and washed me and tended me, and very hushed and tender, and something downridded of her dear and lovely eyes. And we then to eat and to drink together, and joy so great and quiet did be upon us, that it did be as that we had gone into an eternity of peace and an utter content. And surely, as the thought did stir in me, it did be of beauty that we did be both of us true unto the other in that life, and I never to have kissed a maid until that I kissed mine own, and she to have been likewise, and to have fended all men from her, because that they did be strangers unto her inwardness, and so we two to be so utter together, both in that our spirits did be knit, being each the complement of the other, and because that we had no secret pains of remembered things to set any apartness between our hearts. And in verity I to think back then upon my jealousies that I have told, and to know that mine own did never to have given herself lightly to any, neither to have taken lightly, and her spirit to have been alway mine through all the everlasting, and mayhap this to be how all people shall come to be in the length of time, only that to us had come the great wonder that we did early meet. Though this also to bring that utter pain, which doth seem to slay, when that once you have known the Beloved, and to be parted. And so I to think, and did presently ponder with a great and strange pity, upon they that did not yet have met the Beloved, and they mayhap not to have kept all for the Beloved, but to have been light with that which doth be the treasure, because that love had not come to show them that they did unknowingly squander the strange and holy glory which doth be the possession of they that should come to the Beloved and say, All that is thine have I kept for thee. And the Beloved to know, and to have peace in the remembering. But what doth be the peculiar sorrow of they that have gone over lightly, when that they shall meet the Beloved? For then shall there be a constant and inward regret, as a thorn in the heart, that they not to have observed alway that holy care of all which doth pertain unto love, and they nigh to moan in the spirit, If they had but known, if they had but known. Yet in the end of their pain shall they grow unto all loveliness, if that now they have truly come upon love, and to live with love. For this to be the especial glory of love, that it doth make unto all sweetness and greatness, and doth be a fire burning all littleness, so that did all in this world to have met the Beloved, then did wantonness be dead, and there to grow gladness and charity dancing in the years. And there to be yet one thing upon which mayhap I not to have thought sufficient, for it doth be this, that they who did err, as I have shown, shall be the greater for their pain, and let this be to cheer you, if that you have done foolishly, and thought not upon that day when the Beloved shall come. For pain is but the voice of development or destruction, and truly you to suffer the first, if that love doth work in you, but truly the more that you have lacked, the greater shall be your pain, for the more change there doth need be in you. And so would I have you now to think and to know that the Beloved shall come, and so shall you live in glad care of all your being, that you be able to come unto the Beloved in that day, and to say with beauty and human joy in your heart, even as I have said, and thus shall you miss that bitter pain. But yet truly you to be like to heed not this, until that love doth come upon you, and I therefore to cease from this vain setting of mine inward reasonings. But truly when that day be come, as I have told, you to know how that there went alway with me in this mine own story which I tell, the simplicity of truth, and how that I did be minded only that you to know, and thereby that you have gentle wisdom that you lay not up pain for that day. Yet if you do lack to go with me, you to need that developing which shall then come upon you. And so shall you perceive how my thoughts did go to and fro, as I did eat with mine own, and so in the last I to find that I did think very serious, and I then to cast from me this pondering, and to have that utter joy which did be upon us, and to seem that it did fill all that strange country of seas. And lo, after we did be done of eating and drinking, which did be but a little time, as you shall think, the maid did ease me to an upward sitting, and had my back very nice to an olden stump which did be light, and she to push unto me. And mine own did sit then beside me, so that mine arm did come most natural about her, and she there to be nestled all gleeful and content, so that my heart did be doubly tender unto her. And I took the abundance of her hair, and set it about my neck and upon my breast, so that it did near to cover me in the upward part. And we both then to laugh as that we did be two children, because that love did make us so utter young in the heart, and our hands to be hid under the beauty of the maid's hair, and I to have her then that she explained just how great she did love me. And you that go with me do know how that this doth be a delight that is never done, neither to be set only into words. And all that day we did be wondrous happy, save once when we saw that there were humped men upon the shore about the flat-topped rock where did be the fight. But what they did there we not to be able to see, only that presently they went away, and indeed seemed to have no thought unto us, neither any knowledge, and so did be gone again into the forests, and we saw no more of them after that time, and afterward we to be lost utter in happiness. Now upon the 10th day I did be so come into health that I to walk a little way to and fore upon the island, and mine own did go with me, and so I to pace a good while, and afterward to rest again. And mine own then to bring mine armour to me, which she had scoured very nice. But truly the armour did be sore broke and bent, and did be jagged inward this place and that, with the monstrous strength of the humped men, when that they did strike me with the great sharp stones. And in verity, how I should ever come again to wear this protection, I to be in doubt. Yet truly it had been a wondrous suit of strength that had kept my life within me when that I had been so deadly beset, and I to know that it to be yet like to save both our lives, if that we could some way straighten it, and ease the broken jags from wounding me afresh. And I thought a time, and the maid with me, and afterward we gat that stump upon which I had leant, and had this to be for an anvil, and we found then smooth stones of different sizes, and these to be for hammers. And we wrought all that day with restings upon the armour, and surely we beat it into a very good shape from the inward, and the broken parts we beat smooth, so that they should not wound, and in the end to have mine armour fit to go upon me. And I by now, as you shall think, to be dressed part in my garments, but not all, for there did be yet some of the bandages upon my body, so that for the main I did wear the cloak, that the bandages be easily come at. And all that day did be utter happy, whilst that we worked, for we to be together. And on the morrow, as we do say, which was the 11th wakening upon the island, the maid and I to talk long and oft, whilst that we yet worked upon the armour, and we to ponder the best way that we continue to our journeying. For indeed I was not come to my strength, yet was I very earnest that we go forward early. But in the same time I did fear, lest that we meet with aught of danger, and I to be alack because that I was yet weak. And presently the maid and I both to think upon the same thing, for she to cry out concerning the raft, and I to have the same word in my mouth. And in verity this to be a great thought, for then should we be able alway to be free of the humped men, and to have frequent rest when that we be weary, and to sleep with an ease in the mind, and indeed I to hope that the labour of oars should be something less than to go upon the feet. And surely we talked upon this a good while, and afterward we left the armour and went over to the raft, and so to learn whether we should have power to make it something more stable, and that we have some way that we should put a solid matter between our bodies and any monster that should chance to swim under us. And we went then together over all the little island, for I did search for some bush that should have a long tendril in plenty, and supple, and so to suit for binding. But truly there did be no such bush in all the island, and this to put me in trouble, as you shall suppose. Yet was there a sufficient plenty of small and upright trees, that did seem very good for any purpose of structure. And when we had gone all about the island, and found naught that should bind, the maid to say with a pretty jesting that we should cut her hair, and plait it to be for cords. And surely, even as the words did come from her, they to set me upon the thing that should supply our need. For I stooped sudden to the grass that did grow oft and plenty in this place and that, and was so tall as my thigh, and to my head in the middle of the dumpings where it did sprout. And lo, it was wondrous tough. And the maid to have likewise perceived the thought, almost at that moment, but I to have been the first this time, and so to tease her, for truly we had grown that we did nigh alway to discover all things in the same instant, as you may hap to have seen. But I did surely be first this time, and must kiss her, as we do kiss little ones, that they be eased in their dismays and disappointments, and she to see how I did mock her, and she to pretend to weep, and surely how could she even to pretend, when that she did not be able to keep her pretty mouth from searching with laughter unto mine, but must be kissed full and plenty in our constant joyfulness. And we cut then a good arm-load of the grasses, using the knife, and had those to our camp, for we did be homely now into that place, as you shall think. And the maid then to show me plaiting, and how that we could work in the grass piece by piece, so that we should plait unto any length that we to need. And all that day we worked, and did be very happy together. But when that we had come to the time of our slumber, the maid had done twice and thrice so much as I. And surely she came over to me and kissed me very grave, that I should be not to fret, even as I did kiss her with gentle mocking concerning the thought about the grass, and so did she make level with me by this impudence and quaint sweetness. And on the next day, which did be the 12th, I took the discos, and on that day I cut down 6 of the trees, and alway the maid did bring her plaiting, that she be near me. And when I had cut the 6 trees, she had me to cease, lest that I risked to open any wound, and truly they to have healed very wonderful. And afterward we to plait all that day, and did also finish the armour, and did be content and utter happy. And on the 13th day I counted the tablets, and found that we yet to have sufficient, if that we came unto the mighty pyramid within any reasonable time. But I insist that I should eat no more now than did be my usual way, and though mine own did beg and to coax me, and even to try whether that a naughty and loving anger should do aught to shift me, I not to alter from my deciding, which was based upon my reason and upon my intention that mine own should never to go in hunger danger whilst that there did be life in my body. And when that the maid did show this dear and pretty anger, I to take her into mine arms, and to tell her how I did reverence and love her, and that she did be all beauty unto me, and I but to love her the more, because that I did know the reason for her dear shaping of anger unto me. And she then to kiss me, and yet to beg again that I have her way in this thing, but presently I did show her that my reasoning was sound in this matter, though I said not that my strongest thought did be unto her own needs. And she to have to agree with me in her brain, even whilst that her heart did ache to feed me, and truly I to love her but the more, as you shall think. And this way shall you ever to manage a dear and sensible woman that doth both love you and hath reason in her. For the wise man and he that hath an heart unto bigness doth be never hasty to command. But indeed I speak not now of the way that you shall go with a woman that hath the love foolishness upon her, for this to be a different matter, as you do know. And a woman then to require a double wit and tenderness in the governing, but also to need to be commanded, mayhap with sternness, yet with the more love. Now when that we wakened on our 14th day upon the island, we gat to work, so soon as we had washed and eat and drunk, and mine own to see how my scars did go. And I cut 7 more trees that day, which made 13 in all, and afterward I trimmed the trees very nice. and when this was done I cut 12 good sapling trees and 2 more very thin, that I did mean to be for paddling the raft upon the water. And mine own maid did sit near me alway, and never to be ceased from her plaiting. And whilst that the maid did plait, and make gentle and happy talk with me, I presently to sit beside her, and had her belt knife to my need. And therewith, when I had cut bark from a tree, I made a foot long cross piece of wood which I did fasten with pegs and some lashing unto the end of one of the paddle shafts. And I took then a piece of the bark, so big mayhap as would cover my thigh, and shaped broad one end and thence to a point, and when I had made holes in the piece of bark, I lashed the broad end to the cross piece, and the end that did be narrowed I lashed secure to the shaft, and likewise made holes down the length of the bark, and lashed it also thereby to the shaft, and this wise I had a pretty good paddle, that did be about 10 feet long in the clear shaft, and the head to be somewise 2 feet more mayhap. And when this was done I shaped the handle so small as might come into the grasp of the maid, and did jest her very loving and gentle that she give me so great a work, because that she have her hands so little. And truly she presently to stop me of my mocking, for she put her pretty hands upon my mouth, and I then to have to mumble and to laugh, and so she to go forward again with the plaiting. And when I had made the one paddle I made also the other, but something more rough and heavy, and suited unto my strength, and so did be very well pleased, for they did be made more of my reason than of memory, yet had I used somewhat of the kind upon the quiet lakes which did be in the country of silence. And we then to join in the plaiting, and thus with happy talk and our times of eating, until that we did be come again to our slumber. And on the 15th day, when that we had gotten up and washed and eat and drank, the maid did look unto my bandages, and did consider that I be healed very good, if but that I not to overstrain my body. And we then to dance, half in play and half in victory, but gentle, and afterward she to come with me, that she give me aid that we get the trees unto the water. And in 6 hours we rolled the trees down to the shore, and did begin then that I lashed the saplings across the trees, and this wise to hold them secure into a raft. And the midmost tree I put something more forward than the next, and so until that which did be the front was shaped somewise like to the bow of a ship. And the saplings to hold the trees this wise, when that I had set the lashings about every sapling and every tree where the saplings did go across. And all that day I worked pretty constant and steady, until that mine own had me to cease awhile, lest that I bend overmuch, and so to put strain upon my scars. And I to be reasonable, but yet to go forward again with the work, only that I did rest now, this time and that, and so did all to prosper. And on the morrow, which did be the 16th day upon the island, I made an end of lashing the saplings across the raft. And I set up also 2 rests for the paddles, so that we might row if we stood upon the raft, and afterward, being ready, we gat together our gear and set all upon the raft. And I put the pole that the maid had used also upon the raft, and loosed the straps from the first raft, and had the straps for our requirement as heretofore. And mine armour we made safe on the raft, but the discos I had to my hip as ever, and so did we be ready to leave that little island of refuge, where we had been so near to sorrow, but yet had come utterly upon joy. And surely mine own did take me by the arm, and she to stand a little, and to look with me unto that bed of soft herbage where she had laid me, when that I did be so nigh unto death, and she then to kiss me very sweet and loving and gentle, and all a tremble with the tears and love that did stir in her, and I to set mine arms about her in love, and so we to turn and to put off then in the raft. End of chapter 14, part 2.